Hey everybody, welcome back to JOJ. It is the July 23rd. Where are we?
We are home.
We're home. Okay.
We're just home.
I forgot last week where we were.
Yeah.
So. Took me a couple guesses to get it right.
No, we're still home.
Still home. Yep. Don't leave for another few days.
Yeah, getting ready for the last one.
Yeah. Be packing up and getting ready to leave here in about a week or so. I guess so. Yep. But today's title is God in Exile, and the verse comes from Matthew 28:20. This is the one that when Jesus was speaking right before he ascended back into heaven. It says, "I am with you always, even to the end of the age." And then it says, "Do you ever feel like you are far away from God? John, the beloved apostle of Jesus Christ, though exiled to a barren island in the Aegean Sea, was not exiled from God. God, the living one, went with him. Being shut away from the world on a prison island meant John could focus on God. While on Patmos, John received a magnificent revelation of heaven and humanity's future, the book of Revelation. Across the centuries, God has walked with people of faith in dark circumstances. An innocent Joseph sat in a prison. Rizpah spent months guarding the dead bodies of her sons. Martin Luther walked through deep depression. In each case, the living God walked with them through these dark circumstances. These people came through their bend in the road because God was with them every step of the way. God uses the difficult times in our lives to show us amazing things. You may feel exiled from everyone on earth, but you can walk in confidence. As God was with John on Patmos, he is with you. God won't desert you. You can trust him fully through every difficult experience. You will never be exiled from God." And then the quote at the end, "If we are shut in by life's troubles, we can look to the open heaven above us." Do you ever feel like you're far away from God? With God's omniscience, omnipotent. That's what it is. Yes, omnipotent. We're never far away from him because he's everywhere all the time. Anywhere we are, he is able to be with us.
Yeah, and I think if we personally feel far away from God, it is God didn't go away from us. We've went away from God.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Yeah. I feel like if we feel, just like a earthly relationship, like if we're not speaking or if we're not in tune.
Why would we not be speaking?
Well, this is just an example.
Oh, okay.
But if we are distant from each other, then you don't feel that closeness.
Right.
Or with kids, if you're not having conversations, or if they're just teenagers going in the room and you don't see them, you feel that distance. And it's no different than with God. If you're not studying in his word, or I know a big, for me, which I know I've said this before, is like when we're on the road, or not home to where we can be in church, even though we can watch it live, we're still not there in person. Like I always feel more of a strain, and I am a worship person. Like the music, we could do that the whole hour. Sorry, Mark. But like when I don't have that, or when we've been on the road for weeks, or whatever the circumstances, somebody's been sick, or we haven't been to church in a couple weeks, I know I feel that. Like I feel the distance of not being as
close. And that's with worship, what you're saying too. I mean, we can watch it online and participate that way, and that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. It's not at all the same.
No.
As to when you're there in person and you're worshiping together. You definitely feel, you absolutely feel that disconnect.
I think.
You're talking about our Sunday school and
yes,
our small group,
but also being a big part of that is finding yourself with like-minded. Not
only like-minded, but like situation.
Yes, like situation. Like these families had teenagers. We always tease the one couple that still has a little boy that's like 7, and we're like, you all are still in bliss.
Yeah.
But we're all kind of in the same, middle schoolers, high schoolers, some college. So they've been through it, are going through it, and still enjoying. And not that we don't enjoy our older kids, but as a parent, it's hard. Yeah. Like life just gets harder as they get older.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big, important thing to do. Whenever it's like saying, if you feel far away from God. I was going to say distant from God. Because I hear a lot of people say that, you don't have to be in church, or, this is my church being on the water or golf course or out in nature, whichever. But biblically, we are called to be a part of a
body of believers.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. But as a body of believers, we're absolutely called to be together. And you look at like COVID, and when nobody went to church, we all watched online. They were just a few people there in service, to put the service on, and then everybody else was watching online. And how that time changed a lot of churches for the negative. I mean, a lot of churches never recovered from it. Thankfully, ours has, and has grown since then. But I mean, that time of people being like, well, we don't have to go to church to worship or to be a part of it.
Yeah, we can stay in our pajamas. And
we can have the rest of our routine and go on about our Sundays. And that truly changed a lot of people's lives, and I don't think in a positive way. I mean, I really feel that way, because we are, when we're together, even if it's for an hour or 2 hours on Sunday, we hold each other more accountable because of that, because we're going to show up, we're going to be there, we're going to be in person, and we're going to encourage each other, and we're going to discuss with one another, and it's a good time to be able to be together. And people will use that excuse, well, I can worship here and I can worship there. You can.
I mean, like I said, I'm a worship person. I can turn it on in my car and it changed my day. I try to, especially if I'm frustrated about something and having to drive a lot, like, I can turn worship music on and center myself back to be like, okay, going back to a couple episodes of like counting, okay, I'm thankful that I have kids that I'm having to bring stuff to, or they forgot that, just whatever it may be. It's, for me right now in this season, it's kids and driving and bringing their stuff. But it's just so important too, I think, to center yourself. I know my friend and I taught 3-year-olds in Sunday school for I don't know how many years. Yeah. But as my kids got older, because I've just been back in Sunday school for maybe a year, maybe a little bit more. I love 3-year-olds. I love that age. Like, they're my favorite age. They're just so fun, and the things they come up and say. Their answer is always Jesus, and it's great. But personally, I was struggling because I'm knee deep in raising these kids of our own, and I needed to be with adults that experience the same thing, if that makes sense. And so we had talked about it, and I was like, I've got to go into a Sunday school class, because if I'm going to survive raising these kids,
I need some encouragement.
Yes, I need a lot of encouragement that we are going to survive raising these kids. and of course, Ott's here and there, so he's not always here. So like the really bad days, and why it happens on Sundays, I don't know. Yeah. But it's like that's usually our rough mornings sometimes, and so it's just nice to come in. Whether we're coming in late or, that kind of rotates in our class, you can tell, because like especially as moms, we come in and we sit and we're like, we're here.
It's already been a day.
We're here, like everybody's alive. And then the ones of us that have drivers, we're watching Life 360. Good, they finally made it. Like, just, so it's a lot of it, I think, going back to, if you feel distant from God, you need to go back and look where you're at personally.
Right. Yeah. Look at yourself and examine that. And the other thing I want to say on the In Exile, John was in a prison on an island by himself. I mean, obviously there was somebody there because they had to. He was able to be sustained through that amount of time. So somehow or another, he had food and water, as rough as his situation had to have been. But even in that amount of time that he did spend alone, God spoke to him through that, in a very powerful way. But that it wasn't, so yeah, John was by himself. He was in this place. He was alone with God, but it wasn't on purpose. He didn't choose to go there. But if you do have those times where you are able to be alone, those aren't bad. I mean, Jesus would be alone to go to pray by himself. He would go into the wilderness to go, to go pray. So those aren't bad. but you also don't forsake the gathering together. So you know, we need each part of it, in my opinion. We need the time alone with God, but we also need the time together as believers as well. So but yeah.
All right, so next week we will be live. Not sure if we will, right? No? There's a whole another week?
We got a whole another week, July 30th.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
You didn't write JOJ
I
on
did,
that one.
but that's
okay, now it's official. Just kidding, we will not be live next week. Tune in next week to see what we have.
Yep.